Now let's investigate the H5 source code. If we take a look at H5, we see it's actually almost blissfully simple. All we're doing is, with an 8-character string array, getting data into that, doing a getString call, and then displaying it. First things first, be aware that this getS call is actually not welcome in the world of C anymore. If I try and build this, it's actually going to warn me that getS is deprecated or is no longer supported and could eventually end up removed from the specification. And we're told getS function is dangerous and should not be used. So let's see how it's dangerous. Because this is a warning, our executable got built. So I'm going to run a.out, and let's just type in a relatively small number. And that works just fine. But what happens if I type in 10 digits? Remember, this array was only 8 characters long. So we're clearly going to exceed our array, but it's still successful. It's successful because we're dealing with a stack at this point. We're not dealing with memory that was allocated using an allocator. And sometimes the stack allows you to exceed the bounds depending on what the values are inside the stack. Let's put something really big on here. I'm going to go ahead and put the alphabet. And we can see that it printed out the entire string, but then it segfaulted or crashed after it was done. Let's run this in Valgrind and see what it tells us. Valgrind should give us some very interesting information. And yep, lots of errors here, but this is the one that really matters. Process terminating with default action of sigseg or segmentation fault. What happened was it detected that the stack was overwritten. If you believe this happened as a result of a stack overflow in your program's main thread, you can try to increase the size of the main thread stack. We don't want to do that. We just simply don't want to wreck our stack. That's not appropriate. The problem here is this getS function. The getS function is a very unsafe function in that there is no checking. That is one thing that C does not do. It does not check to make sure that your data fits within an array bound. We've declared this character array of 8 characters, but getS has no information inside of S that tells it that it is 8 characters long. It's just a pointer, and that pointer points to a memory block, and getS will store anything and everything in there. We don't want to use getS here. It just simply isn't an appropriate function in this case. A better function is probably the scanf, this one of the stream functions. Now scanf, of course, takes a format specifier and a reference or pointer to where we want to store the data. And we can just simply specify %s here to say we want to accept a string. Now, this program still has the same problem that we saw before. If we go ahead and build it, and run it, and type it still crashes. We still smash the stack, and we don't want to do that. But one of the things that we're allowed to do with scanf is we actually can say we only want a certain number of characters this time. So in this case, the format specifier now says I want a string, but I only want a string that has 7 characters. So let's go ahead and write this. Build it. and run it. And we'll go ahead. So I've typed in my alphabet again, but when I press enter, it only got those characters, the first 7 characters. You'll notice I did not type a C in there, and so it did A, B, D, E, F, G, H. This does not exceed my array bounds. It's 7 characters plus the terminating null that a string must have in the C environment. So as you can see, we now control the length of the string that we're using. GetS does not have this power, but scanf does. And this is considered a safer function. There are other functions that have this problem. There's a function called sprintf. Sprintf allows you to format a string and store it into a character array. But it also has the same problem. It will exceed your character array without even thinking twice. There's an alternate function called snprintf that allows you to limit how many characters are actually formatted by the format string.